It's the Brandon Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast, where I'm going to look at loan plays and strategies specifically designed for GPPs. This is a show for people who are already informed on daily fantasy sports and how these contests operate. If you have any questions related to NASCAR, this isn't a stupid question, feel free to shoot my way on Twitter at BrandonCruzDFS. Most importantly, take everything here with a grain of salt and use your best judgment when making entries. Additionally, if you have a gambling addiction, that's just not my problem. Check your sense of feelings at the door. Let's focus in on the Daytona Road course race for this weekend, getting this out Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, midnight, around that area. So salaries have been out for a while. We've had, a few hours, to really look around, to really check out, how lineup construction is going to go. The guys that I think are going to be chalky, just basic things like that after you have salaries out for a while. So I want to get this out earlier in the week, or at least be one of the first guys out there so I can at least, get my ideas out there so I'm not really influenced by anyone else. Just throw what I think is going to be popular out there, and then I can go back and look at different people and see how they're approaching it. But either way, this is what I'm going to be looking at today. We're going to be going over our little starting grid, our little guys on DraftKings and things of that nature there. If you'd like to support the channel, BrandonCruzDFS on Patreon, you can get my full NASCAR coverage covering all three of the series. You can get projections and other things. I recommend that you go check it out. If you want to support the channel and not pay a whole lot of money, you can do a $3 or $1 donation through Patreon. And if you just like what I'm doing here, beat up that thumbs up button. Now let's get right into it here, starting with Chase Elliott. I mean, if you look at his odds across the board, across different books and everything, he's 2-1, in some places. A tremendous, favorite. It blows my mind how much of a favorite Chase Elliott is here, because he hasn't necessarily had the best vehicles at the plate, or not the plate, the races, at the road courses. He's got a lot of wins, and look, I'll be the first one to say that, when I saw the schedule for this year, last year, I was like, NASCAR's fixing the schedule for Chase Elliott. They're trying to help him out as much as possible, and I think that is true. I think Elliott is going to be incredibly strong, and I think he's going to do incredibly well. Do I think he wins this race? No, I do not. I think there are drivers and vehicles that are going to outrun him, that are going to beat him straight up, even if everything goes Chase Elliott's way. I don't think he can really hold off on people. And those people are going to be like people like Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, even someone like Joey Logano. I think these types of guys can get around Chase Elliott. I don't think it's just the Chase Elliott show. And his pricing on DraftKings reflects that. If you see, across the board, you see, like I said, he's the favorite everywhere. And then you see DraftKings as he's the second highest price guy usually, and some of the guys who play golf and stuff do the same thing here, is they check their odds to win or how big of a favorite they are, and you usually see that represented in the DraftKings salary. Well, here, Elliott's the second highest. He's the second most expensive. If he was that big of a favorite, he would be the most expensive. Just keep that in mind. I think he'll be incredibly chalky. I see him getting a top 5 finish. I mean, obviously he can get a ceiling of winning the race. I just don't really see it here. McDowell, not too big into it. I just don't like it. Now, he has had some good finishes at the road courses, but look, I just don't think it's gonna work very well for McDowell here. I think he's just gonna lose a couple positions, probably finish in the top 15. He has a top 10 car, but I think he'll finish inside the top 15. I just don't think that works for you. Same thing with Austin Dillon. Denny Hamlin is really who I'm focusing on, because if you're not expecting Elliott to do as well as you think he will do, and looking back at the Clash times, and I understand that it's at night, but basically the Clash is the closest thing we have to practice. Here, if you look at Chase Elliott, yeah, sure, he started 7th. He worked his way up through the field. He was leading before the end of the first yellow, or before the first caution, rather. But, I mean, the speed that he has compared to Denny Hamlin, Denny Hamlin just beats him on raw speed. And I know Hamlin starting the outside lane, that's not necessarily where you want to be entering turn 1 this week, but I just think Hamlin has more speed than Elliott. I think Hamlin has a really high chance of leading laps early, and I know the race is only 70 laps. It's not going to be giving out that many fast laps and laps led points, but if you can grab that one lap leader, I think it's going to be Denny Hamlin. I think that's the way I'm going to go about it. Looking at Kevin Harvick and Ryan Preece, they're just not really clicking for me. I'm sure they can work in, kind of wilder situations, but I'm not too crazy on them. LaJoy, obviously not. Larson, not really. I think Larson, doesn't really show up. Ross Chastain, and we'll talk about lineup construction when we get through the starting grid here. Chastain, not really. Bubba Wallace, not really clicking off. Logano seems to be a pivot that I'm liking for a lap leader or a guy that's more expensive. I mean, if you're looking at the salaries on DraftKings, obviously there's some mispricings, and they're really soft. Like, you can play whoever you want, but say if you're paying up for drivers, Logano kind of gets lost in the shuffle there. I mean, you have Truex at 11,000, Elliott at 10,700, Blaney at 10,400, A.J. Allmendinger at 10,200, Kyle Busch at 10,000, Hamlin 98, Keselowski 96. Logano is a guy that I don't see, you just having, the 9,400 left in your lineup to put him in there. But if you make a pivot to Logano, especially in the 9K range and the lower 10K range, if you're playing certain, value plays in the back, Logano is a guy that you can very easily fit in a lineup, and I don't think he's going to be that popular. Like, I just see everybody chasing after Kyle Busch, Hamlin, Keselowski, Blaney, Elliott, Truex, trying to squeeze all these guys in, and I think Logano kind of gets forgotten. I think he's more of a pivot play for your, one or two of your more expensive guys. So I just want to keep that in mind. I think Logano does extremely well in the race regardless, but he's a pivot that I really like right now. Or he's a lower owned guy with a lot of high upside that maybe goes, forgotten or not really focused on a whole lot. Christopher Bell, not interested. Cole Custer had a very fast car in the Clash, was running very well in traffic, was able to get through people before he melted. I really like Cole Custer, and his price is way too soft. And I mean, he's underpriced. That's $7,000. I think this is a top 8 car, top 5 car in certain circumstances. I really like Cole Custer. Kyle Busch. Now look, he has practice on this track. I know he won the Clash. I'm not putting that in, in why I like Kyle Busch. If you look at the Clash and you look at how he went through the field, and I talked about this with Jason and Ryan in the Dirty Air podcast this week. Let me bring this up. But looking at the positions that Kyle Busch was able to go through, I mean, look, Kyle started 16th, and then between lap 1 and 8, he got up to 7th place. So he drove through, half the field in the Clash. And then a yellow came out. And then he started 10th, and he drove his way up to 4th in 6 laps. And another yellow came out. And then so he started 5th, drove his way up to 3rd in 4 laps. And this is when he's fighting with the faster guys in this race. Second to last restart. Started 3rd, pretty much held his position, fell back to 4th 4 laps into that. And then on the final run for the Clash, he started 6th. Obviously, he won the race, but if you look at, where he was winning in case they don't wreck each other for the win, he's in 3rd. Kyle Busch is able to get through the field. I know it's at night. I know that it was a different temperature and everything, and it's going to be a day race, but Kyle Busch, 1, he has the practice. 2, he has a setup that he really feels comfortable with. And 3, he has confidence going in this race. I think this is one of the best places for Kyle Busch this season. I think this is a great place for him to compete for a top 5. I have him right now projected for 2nd. I'll probably have him projected, anywhere from 4th to 2nd when I'm making my lineups. But right now, I really like him for 2nd. Obviously, he can win this race. I like Kyle Busch a ton. Keselowski, say what you will about Keselowski at the road courses. I think he does all right. I'm not too concerned on him. I mean, if you look at his Clash, he was running extremely well, ran into some trouble at the last end of the race. So, he finishes 17th. He didn't have that bad of a race. I mean, he was inside the top 6 pretty much the whole race. I think some people might look at his finish at the Clash and, kind of be hesitant on playing Keselowski, and I don't mind Keselowski at all. I actually really like him. And Stenhouse Jr., like, even at his price, I can't pull the trigger, man. 6,100. I mean, if you're making certain lineups, depending on where you're at, it's very easy to have 6,100, even 62, 6,500 left in your lineup for your last 2 guys or your last guy. Maybe Stenhouse draws ownership there, but I think the upside is a bit hurt. Maybe he can squeeze into 12th place. Maybe he can squeeze into 10th. I'm going to find other places. I'm going to go different directions. Kurt Busch, extremely well at the road courses. I like him a lot. Chase Briscoe, not a whole lot to say here. Really up in the air. I'm not really sure what he's going to do. We'll just kind of have to see where the industry looks at him. I'm not very high on him. I don't think I'm going to end up playing him. I'd much rather go different directions. Martin Truex Jr. had the best car in the Clash, but he ran to the dirt and wrecked. Quick thing about the chicane, it's wild how much these cup drivers and the NASCAR drivers get coddled, and I mean they're treated like children in elementary school. Oh, they don't like something, we got to change the rules. Oh, they don't like this, oh, let's change the course. Like, excuse me, but the racetrack is, the part that's painted. Like, I understand you're wanting to cut the course, you're wanting to make it straighter, but I mean, dirt on the track is kind of a result of you guys not staying on the track. I don't know. It really defeats the purpose of. I know they're putting turtles, at the part where they're putting concrete down, and then they're going to put turtles on top of the concrete, so these guys aren't like cutting the course or anything like that. But I feel like that situation's almost worse, because if you hit the turtles, you're going to destroy your splitter. If you go over the turtles and your splitter hits the grass, you're really going to destroy your motor, or your vehicle rather. And I just think they've actually made the situation worse, because these drivers, the best drivers in the world in NASCAR, they can't get through a bus stop without, going into the dirt. So say whatever you will. People have been racing on this road course for a millennium, and it's ridiculous that these guys, they're throwing up dirt and they're bitching and moaning that, oh, we need, more runoff area or whatever. Like, come on, guys. Come on, what are you doing there? Anyway, so that's the only reason Truex didn't work. He's the best car in the Clash. I like him a lot. Just Haley Cody Ware not going to work for me. William Byron, I mean, he has top 10 potential. I think he might be talked up a lot this week, really looking at it. The main way I'm going to attack, where is William Byron at? There you go. Look, I mean, if you look at his last finishes at the road course last year, the Roval last year, and the Roval in 2019, everybody's going to see the 8th, 6th, and 6th place finishes. And so you might want to put him inside the top 10, which right now that's where I have him at. But like 8,800, that's a bit high, man. I think we're going to find more value starting farther back. You might not need to go to Byron. We're going to talk about that when we get through the rest of the field. Josh Bilicki, not interested. Tyler Reddick, not really. I think he gets top 15. His pricing isn't the issue. 7,500 can easily fit in every lineup. It just depends on if he works out. I don't think Reddick is optimal. I'm actually going to change that because I don't really like that. I don't like that rating at all. I'd probably move him to a C. I'm not really high on him. Garrett Smithley, no. Eric Almirola can easily probably get it done. $7,900. It just, we're gonna need him. Almirola and Reddick are very similar. I think they finish very close to each other. It just depends on the ownership. If I moved Reddick down, I got to move Eric Almirola down as a guy that I don't think they're optimal. I don't see it being optimal. I don't see that type of lineup construction with them in it really working out. Or I think if anything, they're going to be that 6th and final driver that you kind of just fit into a lineup because you have that money left. Anyway, Ryan Blaney, going to be very popular, very chalky, starting 27th, had a crazy fast car in the Clash. He was one of the best, and his running position completely justifies it, which you can look at racewiththeprize.com. He was second almost the entire race. I don't know what else you have to expect. If Truex is the best car from the Clash, and he should have the best setup going into this race from that race, Ryan Blaney should be right behind him. These are the two guys I'm probably going to focus on making lineups around, would be Truex and Ryan Blaney. Scott Heckert, no. Quinn Hoff, no. Buescher, DiBenedetto fall into the same category as me. They're exactly the same play. You got Chris Buescher at $7,200. You got Matt DiBenedetto, $8,100. Look, it depends on how much you're chasing place differential. If you think they do the exact same, finish around 12th for both of them, Chris Buescher would be the play. I think Buescher still finishes ahead of Matt DiBenedetto. But if you're making a lineup chasing place differential, I see that a lot of people are probably going to go to them. And so that's why I just write chalk here. I don't have a distinct percentage or anything like that. I just think they're going to be popular, especially if people start stacking from the back. I see, Eric Jones, DiBenedetto, Chris Buescher easily being thrown in tons and tons of lineups. Ryan Newman starting 33rd. $7,300. If this is the case, I'd much rather go with Chris Buescher. We saw how well he was in the Daytona Road Course race last year. He was able to drive through the field. That's mainly why I have him finishing 12th and Matt DiBenedetto finishing 18th, is because I think Chris Buescher can drive through the field at this racetrack. I think this is a road course that suits his driving style very well, and he would probably be my main focus of DiBenedetto, of Newman. A.J. Allmendinger, I mean, he's growing on me, man. Every time I think about it, and every time I think about how I want to use him, it keeps coming to me that Colleague has got to be throwing money at this. I don't imagine he's going to show up with a bad race car. He's going to have Xfinity experience in this race. Like, he's racing the day before, so he's going to have, the experience of being on the track with people. He's going to have the track time, and he's going to know braking. He's going to know the braking, the braking spots where you want to attack the track and whatnot. I think that gives A.J. Allmendinger a big advantage. When I first saw his price at 10.2, I was like, wow, that's really high. And, the more I think about it, the more I think it's justified, and the more I see him as a play that I might be getting to more and more off throughout the week. Like I said, it's Thursday morning right now. It's 12:30 a.m. in the morning. And when I first saw the price, I was like, man, that's too high. And then as I ran more projections, as I looked at his upside, I was like, yeah, I think that's justified. So I will probably end up playing A.J. Allmendinger this week. Not sure right now, not sure how much, but I think I'll be going to A.J. Suarez, Bowman, I don't see it really working for Suarez. I mean, he's $5,700. You don't really need a punt here. Like, you can fit all good guys. Like, your lowest guy can easily be a 6K driver or something like that. Suarez would probably be, an all right play if you need someone at $5,700. But if that's the case, get some extra place differential with Ty Dillon. I mean, Suarez and Dillon are yet again the exact same plays. I have them finishing right around each other. It just depends on who has the more ownership. And if you want to pivot off of that, or if you want to chase that ownership, whatever you want to do. Alex Bowman, Eric Jones, there's no reason that Bowman should be $9,000 and Eric Jones is $7,800. This is a misprice. I think it really hurts anything that Alex Bowman had going for him. If you look at Alex Bowman, his last few road course finishes: 12th, 8th, 2nd, 4th, 14th, 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 and 9th. Maybe that's why he's so more expensive. But Eric Jones is nothing to shake a stick at either. 11th, 3rd, 40th, 30th, 4th, 5th, 8th, and 7th. I understand that was in Joe Gibbs' equipment, but at a road course, after we saw how Eric Jones was racing in the Clash and everything, I mean, there's no reason why Eric Jones should be that much cheaper than Alex Bowman. They're yet again the exact same plays, and I think that's the what is it? That's the God, I can't think of the word. Maybe that's the name of the game this week. I mean, a lot of duplicate pairs, a lot of duplicate projections, a lot of same plays, like they're the same driver. And this is just another example of that. Alex Bowman and Eric Jones. I would much rather go to Eric Jones for the salary relief. I think everybody else is going to do that. And I think you have to play Eric Jones. Now, if he wrecks, it doesn't work out. I don't see him wrecking. I see him running extremely well. I don't mind chasing that ownership. He should be the highest owned driver. And for good reason. Starting 37th, $7,800 in a car that should easily get inside the top 15 with a driver who should easily be able to drive it inside the top 15. I don't mind that at all. Ty Dillon, maybe if you need the punt, same situation as Suarez. I'd much rather have Ty Dillon over Suarez, but that's just me. And I mean, vice versa. If I have the money and I'm not strapped for cash, if I can get Suarez at 57, Suarez, I think, has a better car. I think he probably has better equipment, but I think Ty Dillon has more skill in this race. I think that Clash experience really helped him out here. So, it just depends on where you are with pricing. Davidson, Hill, not really interested, or Davison, not interested. The way that I'm looking at this race is I think tires are going to determine this race. We saw in the Clash that tires and pit strategy was the main thing that really decided that. It decided who was able to go through the field. It decided who was able to be there at the end. of the race, and I think it's going to be the same thing here. This race is going to be decided on pit road, and when you get the stages, you're going to have guys chasing stage points like Ryan Preece. I know he's not really in play this week, but Ryan Preece is the only open car really that needs those points to be able to be locked in for this year. So you're going to have Ryan Preece chasing stage points. You're going to have other guys chasing stage points. Stage points and stages have just really ruined road courses, but that's just me. A lot of good drivers are going to make mistakes. We saw them do the same thing in the Clash. This is the low downforce package, so this isn't the high downforce that they ran last year. So I think the guys who didn't run the Clash are at a big disadvantage because they're kind of be caught off guard by how rough this track is going to be and how difficult this car is going to be able to drive. We saw the top guys, the guys who made the playoffs last year, struggle left and right in the Clash, and I think it's going to continue on into this race here. A lot of soft and mispriced drivers. Like I said, you can play whoever you want, and that's going to cause a lot of chalk. We got Eric Jones, we got DiBenedetto, Chris Buescher, probably going to have a lot of people looking at him, not to mention the Martin Truexes, not to mention the Blaneys, the Hamlins, the Elliots. So it's going to be, where do you want to go with chalk? Where do you want to pivot off of? I don't see a real reason to punt. Like I said, I don't think you really even need to consider playing someone like Quinn Hoff, someone like Timmy Hill, someone like James Davison. I don't see it. I really, really do not see it. And I think that's it. The line of construction that I'm probably going to go with would be one lap leader and then probably all place differential. If I'm making multiple lineups, I'm going to build some with one lap leader, probably Martin Truex Jr., probably people like Kyle Busch, probably people like Denny Hamlin. And then I'm going to make some lineups with two of those guys and then chase place differential. And it's all things from there. Like I said, Logano's a pivot that I like. I don't mind William Byron, just depends on if a lot of people are talking about him. I don't mind Eric Almirola. I don't mind Tyler Reddick. It just depends on how these guys are being looked at. If Kurt Busch is being, kind of overlooked, I'll probably be overweight on Kurt Busch. If people are overlooking Keselowski, I'll probably be overweight on Keselowski. So it just depends on where everybody goes this week. But that's all I want to talk about. That's how I want to approach this race. I think there's a good chance that people can outscore Chase Elliott, and I don't think Chase Elliott is optimal. So that's my 2 cents there for the road course race this weekend. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me, and I'll release the Truck Series and Xfinity videos later on Thursday. You guys have a fantastic day and have a good weekend. Look for the live stream with me and Race for the Prize Sunday morning again, and then we're probably going to do live streams for the Xfinity and Truck Series as well. So just keep updated. Follow me on Twitter and stay updated with my plans. You guys have a great day.